Thank you for joining me on a new and 7th episode of Flash Knockdown, the show that engages with people of the combat sports world. I'm pleased to welcome my guest and representing MMA, the former almighty amateur lightweight champion, the Ice King himself, Connor Hughes. Welcome to the
Yes,
show,
mate.
Connor.
Thanks a lot, mate. How are we?
I'm very well, man. Yourself?
Yeah, good, mate. Thanks a lot. It's got a little ring to it, that Ice King, on it.
You like that one?
Yeah, I've heard that before, funny enough.
Really? From?
Yeah, someone, I don't know, I can't remember whether it was one of my mum owns a club. So I
She
don't know whether it
does.
was someone from there or herself, but yeah, I've heard that Ice King before.
Nice one. So is that something that you're going to take into your next fight?
Yeah, to be fair, I'm the same. I've watched one of your shows before with the lad who's fighting Marcus next.
Kyle.
He was, yeah, I've got the same as him. I thought, a nickname's something that people give to you, but the Ice King suits, so we'll see how that goes.
Lovely. Okay. Wow. We're making Flash Knockdown history again. My God. How lucky am I? Wow. Incredible. Brilliant. And now I can't wait to see you fight again, Connor.
Soon, mate. Soon.
Really? Have you got any
soon.
news? Have you got any news you can share or not yet?
Not just yet, but we are looking, hopefully towards the end of August.
Wow, that is soon.
Yeah.
And are you well prepared?
Yeah, I'm getting there, mate.
Good stuff.
About that.
I'm not at all. I'm not gonna worry about it. Your opponent does.
Exactly.
Nice. So for the viewers watching, Connor,
Yes.
you featured on Ruben's Flash Choices during the last episode of Flash Knockdown. Both of you are teammates. So I have to ask, during sparring, have you felt that right hand? And if so,
mate,
yeah, you have.
A few times. I've also felt his left high kick as well. Straight to the trap.
Man. Well, you're still here to tell the tale.
I'm still here. I don't know how many more I can take, but I'm still here.
Lovely. So I can't wait to do your Flash Choices too, Connor.
Yes.
But just before we do that, could you give the viewers an overview of your MMA career, the gym you represent, and how people can find you and your work online, please?
Yeah, so I'm an amateur MMA fighter, fighting the lightweight division. A former almighty fighting lightweight champion. Fight out of the MMA Academy, Liverpool. Records 4-3. And you can find me on Instagram at @_ConnorHughes1.
Lovely, fantastic. All right then, Connor. So that brings us to the moment that you really joined for, and that's and that's your Flash Choices.
Yes.
So for anyone not familiar and first-time viewers, Connor, I will ask you 10 questions.
Yeah.
With 2 possible answers.
Yeah.
And you choose the one that best suits you in a flash. Got it?
Cool. Got it.
All right. So let's go, brother. Let's go. So the first one, Connor, Spider-Man or Superman?
Spider-Man.
Second one then, Connor, kickboxer or blood sport?
Ooh. Blood sport.
Blood sport. Kumite. Third one, Connor, Pro Bellum MMA or Pat the Problem?
Pat the Problem all day.
Standard. Side kick to the body or clinch knee to the body?
Side kick to the body.
Would you say that's your trademark?
I'd say it's one of, therefore.
Yeah.
I'd say it's one of my one of my weapons, like, for sure.
Absolutely. Jason Tan or a nice suntan?
Jason Tan.
Glory World Champion or UFC World Champion?
UFC World Champion.
Now, 2 famous kickboxers that made it into MMA, Alistair Overeem or Mark Hunt?
Ooh, do you know what? I'm going to go with Mark Hunt. Not a big fan of Alistair Overeem, but I'll go with Mark Hunt.
The Super Samoan.
The Super Samoan.
Indeed.
Chin like granny.
Oh, absolutely. And his walk-off knockouts as well.
Yeah, all day. It's got to be Mark Hunt.
Epic. GSP or MVP?
MVP.
Talk about your relationship with MVP.
Yeah, Michael Pay's a family friend. He used to fight on the same team as my mum, team Top 10 UK. So I've known Michael since I was pretty much a kid. He's came down to watch the fight against Marcus. But yeah, I've been around Michael for years, to be honest. I was obviously on the kickboxing scene. He was the same. He was like, him and Raymond Daniels were the two people that everybody wanted to see. So, but yeah, Michael's been a family friend for years. He's really close to me mum. Really close to me mum. So yeah, he's a good guy, real good guy.
He is. Workouts 7 a.m. or 7 p.m.?
7 a.m.
Man, I'm going to keep asking that question until that cycle breaks. And then the final one, Almighty Fighting or Mighty Mouse Demetrius Johnson?
Almighty Fighting, I'll stay loyal.
Okay, so how did you find those, Connor?
Sound, mate?
Yeah, good?
Yeah, good, man.
Yeah, fantastic. All right, so let's now look at your MMA journey.
Yes.
And normally at this stage, I'd ask my guests what their first recollection of martial arts was. But I would imagine your mother had a big say in that, who herself was a decorated kickboxing champion and coach, becoming a world champion in her category and regularly competing at world level competition at the tender age of 16. Could you share the impression that made on a young Connor Hughes?
Massive, to be honest with you. I don't reckon I'd be doing what I'm doing if it weren't for that. You know, and it weren't just my mum either. Like my granddad started it all. My granddad's like, he's 7th Dan Blackbelt in weight judo. He's been doing it since he was 17. He's now 66. Still willing to train, like, and enough every day if he can. So my granddad started it all. Had me mum, and she started training at 6. And then she's obviously, you know, WAKO Pro World Champion, 10 times British Champion. Original female fighter on Team SWAT and Team Top 10 UK, fought all over the globe. And then our David, my uncle as well, he's WAKO Pro European Champion, World Champion, something daft, like 20-time British Champion.
Wow.
One of the best kickers in Europe. So it was a whole family thing. I had no choice, really. I just got I got thrown in at the age of 3, and the rest is history, mate. But yeah, in terms of impact, if it weren't for, you know, watching me mum and David go on and win world titles, then I don't reckon I'd be here. Like,
sure. And other than any family members that you've just mentioned, would you say you had any other heroes growing up?
When I was doing kickboxing, I looked up to Michael a lot and Raymond, because they were the two guys that everyone wanted to watch fight, and when they did fight, it was massive. So I think that, you know, watching everyone get how excited they get for that big fight.
Yeah.
I'd say them two, yeah. But that's it, really. I'm not really. Yeah, not really much. More just family members, people who I know, to be honest, and wanting to do family proud more than anything.
Sure.
Coming from the whole family, it's like, you know, I've got expectations to live up to. So
you really do.
So I've got to carry the Hughes name on. So that's what it is for me.
Well, you're doing that very well thus far, Connor. Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome, my man. And how does martial arts positively impact your life day in, day out?
Mate, I'll tell you now, if I didn't train every day, I'd go crazy.
Yeah.
I'd be depressed. Ask anyone. If I'm not training, I'm depressed, mate. I can't function without it. But if I was to give to anyone else who's never done it before, it's more than just something you do. It's more like it sets you up for life, I think. You know, it's starting at a martial arts journey. It can be quite daunting because it is martial art and it's combat based. So, but it sets you up for life, mate. Confidence, shows you discipline, shows you respect, teaches you, you know, and just going through the stuff you go through training, is it just, I don't know, there's something about it that it becomes addictive once you start. You can't get, I train people in between training myself, and they all say if they stop for a couple of weeks, it destroys them. They've got to come back. So it makes it addictive, and it's, like I said, it's a way of life. It sets you up for life, and I wouldn't change nothing about it, to be honest.
Brilliant. And before we look into your MMA career, could you give us an overview of some of your accomplishments in
Yeah.
kickboxing and Thai boxing, please, Connor?
Thai boxing, funny enough, I've never actually competed in Thai. The
Right.
commentators seem to get it mixed up. They think that I come from a Thai background sometimes, but I'm pure kickboxing and karate based.
Sure.
The Thais came from our Thai head coach, Peter Davis, and the Thai that they have there. So I've just implemented some Thai into my own style. But talking about what I've done kickboxing wise, I'm 2011 European champion, ISKA Worlds in Italy, and I'm 14-time British champion. That's across WAKO, WKA, ISKA, and 3-time CIMAC Grand Champion. Represented England 6 times, getting selected for the GB squad. So yeah, first Dan Blackbelt also.
Wow. And did you have enough shelf space to hold all of your accolades and trophies?
I
Yeah,
did
just
do,
about.
but yeah, just about. I need a whole new room for that.
I bet you do. And so interestingly, why MMA then?
For me, mate, obviously coming from family that I do, and I've always wanted to be the best, and I
Yep.
believe that if you want to be the best fighter, or you want to be classed as the best fighter, then you've got to do MMA, innit? I think everything else you're limited to certain things, but MMA it's the whole thing. So if you want to be the best fighter in the world, I think MMA is the place you've got to be.
Yeah, it's like Conor McGregor. He calls any other martial arts discipline limited fighting.
Yeah, it is obviously, in different rule sets, different combat sports. You still got to be great at what you do, obviously, to be the best at that. So I'd never take anything away from other disciplines. But yeah, I agree. Everything else, there's a lot of rules. There's a lot of things you can and can't do. Whereas MMA, you're not really limited to that. You can pretty much do what you want. So that's the beauty of it.
Sure. And how important was it for you to settle on a high level and forward thinking gym like the MMA Academy and the opportunity to improve your craft in areas that may not as come as naturally as your
Yeah.
striking?
Well, when I first wanted to do MMA, I wanted to have I had a good real look around different gyms in the city, really.
Hmm.
I wanted to get like the right feel for somewhere, because, I fought for my mum's and my granddad's team for years. So if I'm going to go to your team, I'm going to stay there. I'm not going to go anywhere else. Um, but it was massive, like you said, I'm a striker. So I needed to go to the best possible place where it's going to get me wrestling and me jiu-jitsu better. And I went down to the MMA Academy, had a look, realised who the coaches was, how legit they actually are. And that was the place. And not only that, I got there and I had a good vibe about it. You can go into places and get a bad vibe, but I was made at home straight away. And everything that they do in there, it's not just like a typical gym where you go in, you pay a fiver, and you might come off the mat and you got your head punched in. But it's at the academy, they do it properly. They build you up from the beginning and tell you exactly what you need to do to do well. So yeah, the MMA Academy is massive.
And is there a part of your MMA training that you really enjoy now, but perhaps didn't expect?
Do you know what? No, because I've always enjoyed training. I can't, like I said, I can't not do it.
Right.
So for me, it's what was hard was obviously being the type of striker that I am and doing so well in that, and then going to MMA and basically being a day one beginner.
Yeah.
It's
Being a white belt.
yeah, exactly, and it's more so like you're so good in one area, and then someone takes you down, and you're nothing. You're
Yeah.
absolutely nothing. So
Yeah.
that was the tough part, but as long as you got no ego about all that, you just learn, you just keep going, and I don't know, the grappling, I'd say the grappling because I'd never done it. So now that I'm doing it and I feel like I'm getting better at it, it's adding to your game. So the main thing for me is as long as I'm learning every day, then I'm happy. You know, even if it doesn't come straight away, as long as I'm learning, I'm happy.
Makes sense. And how would you now describe your fighting style?
I'd say I'm a lot more of a mixed martial artist now. I've had you know 3 real good lessons, and it's just about you know adding it all together instead of just thinking one kind of way. Do you know what I mean? So
Yep.
I feel like I'm a lot more well-rounded. I've still got a lot of work to do. That's the beauty of martial arts. You'll never stop learning. Still got a long way to go, but it's what we're in it for, eh?
Absolutely. And is there any one that you model your game on right now?
I'm not. I wouldn't say so, no. But you know
No?
what? A few people. I know what you're gonna say. A few people have gone McGregor.
I would have said a cross between McGregor and
Yeah,
for the boxing, Nick Diaz.
I'll take that. I'll take that. No, to be fair, do you know what? When McGregor first burst onto the scene, I loved watching his fights. I love watching, and you know, it weren't just about you know, because it weren't just a typical Conor McGregor bandwagon. It was how much he believed in himself, how well he spoke about you know working hard.
I'm no different than you know what I mean. All I did was just put in the work, and that's it. So if each one of us put in the work that we know we should do, we know what the work is we need to do. It's just sometimes you don't do it, you know. And then you know when you say, okay, I got to do this, and you know you got to do it, and then you don't do it. That's like a defeat. And then those add up, and then your lack of interest to go do it actually wanes, and then you can get injured and all this type of thing. So for me, it's just about recognizing what needs to be done and do it strictly.
You know, putting time into your future, and you know you can be anyone. And he was the first person to like set up the Europeans. You know, before McGregor, really, it was American and Brazilian sport, to be honest. And he made it clear that we're not so different. You know, we can do it. So I've heard that before. I've heard you know base me stat, but no, I like some of the stuff that he does. He said some things well. But no, I'd say I've got my own mixed into both.
The fighting stance that you adopt, because you adopt quite a wide stance.
Yeah.
Very, very similar to Conor.
Yeah, that's the karate background. Started off karate.
Of course.
Went to the kickboxing. Yeah, that's my karate background.
Okay.
I'd say McGregor looks like me.
True. That's true that. I like that. Love that. So how did you feel leading up to your first MMA fight back in 2017 versus Ben Ellis?
Very confident. Very, very confident. I think because I knew my striking background, and when we took the fight with Ben was referred to as a striker. And I knew he weren't on my level of striking. So I was excited for it. Very confident. I was very confident throughout the fight. I think for that fight, it was just lack of experience, really, to be honest. But no, for that fight, I felt confident as anything. Maybe a little bit too confident. But you know, if I can put on a show, I'll put on a show. I'm not saying I won't try and shy away from anyone. I'm always looking to put on a show. But yeah, I was. To be honest, I'm confident for every fight. I don't really get like none of these like fight nerves or nothing. Sometimes I think I'm a little bit too chilled. I'm a little bit too ice cold. Sometimes I need to think, you know, I'm in a fight here. But no, just confidence, mate. I've always got confidence. I love what I do, and I'm confident at what I do. So
yeah, a bit like Gegard Mousasi.
Yeah.
He is emotionless.
Yeah, but that's how you got to be, though. 100%. That's how you got to be. You can't even feel happy in there, really, to be honest, because it's got to be if you run on emotions some bad things. I think you're not
Yeah.
fully there. You're not in the moment. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Again, that's
So
like Aldo versus Connor.
yeah, exactly
Yeah.
that. It's
Yeah. Too much
one was
emotion.
way too much emotion, and you can't have emotion in there. What you're doing at the end of the day is ruthless, innit?
Oh,
So you can't have any kind of emotion in there.
true, true. So before we look at that fight with Ben Ellis, any advice you would give to someone preparing for their first combat experience?
Do you know what? Just enjoy it. Just enjoy it and take the experience. And if it's your first, have confidence, have belief in your own abilities, but just enjoy it, because at the end of the day, we do this because we love it. So there's no point if you don't love what you do and you don't love getting in there and competing, whether you win or whether you're losing, you take things from it, then you won't last long at it. You've got to enjoy it.
So looking at that Ben Ellis fights,
Yeah.
I've got a two-part question for you. So first of
Yeah.
all, Connor, what did you know about Ben, who at the time was preparing for his third amateur fights and has since
Yeah.
remained unbeaten in both his amateur and professional career? And secondly, was there any apprehension facing someone with previous cage experience?
Cage experience. I knew he was coming into the fight. I knew he was 2-0.
Yeah.
Jason, my coach, he told me, like, that he's going to have to tell promoters my kickboxing background. So chances of me getting a debut fight is very, very slim. Now,
Right.
that doesn't really faze me, but I knew, like I said, I knew he was a striker. Well, he was meant to be a striker. That was it, really. The only thing I knew is, he likes to strike. He was 2-0 at the time. But that's it. Apart from that, I knew he was Welsh. That was the only thing.
Yeah.
I don't like to do too much studying on my opponents, I'll be honest. I like to get a quick glimpse of what they like to do, what area they're a little bit weak on, and then I just leave it. I feel like focusing on your opponent too much can be, you're too focused on what they're doing instead of focusing on what you're going to do yourself.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I just took little glimpses of, what he likes to do, meant to be striker. And then that was it. And then we just wait for the date then.
Sure. So then, again, looking at that matchup, Connor, you came out, and you mentioned it before, you came out super confident, sharp, and aggressive, clearly winning that first round. Given your striking background, there was a lot of anticipation. Did you feel any extra pressure to live up and to showcase your striking credentials?
None at all, none
No.
at all. Because for me, I was wanting to make my MMA debut years and years ago. But I was still kickboxing at the time, and this is before, I got into the MMA academy and was like, when can I fight? And Jason just laughed at me and said, well, how long's a piece of string?
Wow.
I was like, okay then. So, and I was training. I think I was training for like 2 years before I made my debut. And I didn't feel no pressure. I didn't feel no nerves, no nothing. I was happy to come out there. I wanted to show people what I could do. I wanted to show people, like, I felt like it was the start of my journey, the start of people knowing my name and how good I actually am. And that's all it was for me. It was just showing people what I could do. I wasn't too focused on whether I win or lose. Obviously, I wanted to win. You want to win every fight. But I just wanted to show people what I could do and, like, put my name out there, let it be known that, I'm here and I'm here to stay, like.
Right. Yeah. I mean, to be fair, he played the rest of the fights really, really clever in terms of,
All of them do.
Yeah, they all do. Yeah. It all starts standing, and then they see that your striking is just on another level, and then they just look to take it to the grounds. How frustrating is that to deal with?
Frustrating. It is frustrating because, obviously I'm wanting to fight. I feel like, again, not taking anything away from grapplers or wrestlers, what they do well. But to me, a fight is I'm trying to take your head off.
Yeah.
And you know, it is frustrating, but at the end of the day, it's part of the game, innit? So
It is.
I've just got to get better at that area, and then I honestly believe once I get better at that area, no one will touch me. Then once I'm a confident grappler, I don't believe anyone will get close to me.
Sure. And does that challenge excite you?
100%, 100%. And to be honest, near enough every street fighter will say the same. I've learned so much more from my losses than any win ever has. So at the end of the day, I'm still an amateur, still learning. I'm still a baby in the sport,
Yeah.
really. I've just turned 23. I've been training 5 years, 3 years into my amateur career. So I'm still learning a lot. But you know, like I said, once we go pro, mate, it's all hell breaks loose then. I'll be ready for them all.
God help him. So
Yeah.
so despite the loss, I would imagine you took a lot away from that particular fight, Connor.
Yeah, massive, mate. Like every loss, but huge. Like it was just made clear, you know, if he was a striker, if people called him a striker before he ever fought me, it was clear that everyone was going to try and take me down. So yeah, just it's frustrating. It is frustrating. It's frustrating at the time, and
I can tell.
It's very frustrating after.
I can tell.
But you know, because sometimes I come out of these fights and I'm unmarked, like the Ben Ellis fight. Like
Nothing on you.
Not a thing on me. And like Ben came up to me after the fight and we're talking, obviously, you know, showing respect to each other, but whatever. And he's talking and like his eyes gone, his eyes closed completely, and I'm fine.
Yeah.
So that's frustrating.
And that was after the first rounds.
That was after the first round.
Yeah.
So that's frustrating for me because I'm not even the only thing that hurt me was my foot from kicking him. That was it. So yeah, it's frustrating to be coming out of a fight absolutely fine. They're botched up, but you lost the decision through point scoring.
Indeed. So on to your second competitive MMA action, and that was against Joe Lyons at UKFC 6, winning a split decision. Was you confident it would go your way?
I was confident, mate. I was confident, but I'd say that was probably the most nervy fight for me because I lost my debut. I had a lot of people talking about me leading to the debut, and then I lost on a decision. So, you know, there's a lot of people like, you know, he's just a striker. He won't be able to cope in the MMA world, whatever, if he doesn't get his grappling up. So that, for me, going out to that was a bit like, you know, I felt the pressure there. Still confident, but did feel the pressure of. I felt like I had to win that fight in order to prove to people that I'm not just, you know, I'm not just gonna get beaten and be like, I can't do it then. So a lot more pressure on that, but still confidence. Always confidence.
Good. And describe the feeling of clinching your first MMA victory, which then propelled you onto a 4-fight winning streak. What did that particular win do for your confidence?
Boosted it massively. Boosted it because the main thing for me was, you know, Joe, and I like Joe. I've spoke to Joe a few times. I've seen him like at other shows and stuff, and you know, I've got respect for him. He's a good little fighter, and I knew he was a strong wrestler coming into the fight, and he came out of a strong wrestling gym. So I obviously knew what he was going to try and do to me. But what I realised in that fight was we're all human, aren't we? Because he was taking me down. He was trying to take me down that much that I could hear that he was getting tired when he had me pinned up against the fence. And I injured my shoulder. I nearly tore my bicep tendon in the first round. So I was pretty much fighting 2 of the rounds with one arm. But I could hear him fading. He was pressing me against the fence and I could hear him gasping for air. So I thought, you feel the same as I feel. Just because you're good at that area doesn't mean that you don't get tired also. So for me, it was a big, you know, and I think that's what set me up for other fights, was knowing that they will fade. Even if they are good, they will fade.
Yeah, was it against Jamal Raja where you covered his mouth?
Yes, stop the breathing, make it more difficult. Yeah, just little things, mate. That's what I mean. Like obviously you win from wins and losses, but key little details like that. There's no rule on that.
No.
Do you know what I mean? So key little details.
On to your third fight versus Lewis Ridley at Cage Warriors Academy.
Yeah,
You landed some significant strikes in the first rounds, which he clearly wore on his face, and those were the ones that we could see as you landed a number of devastating clinch knees to the body. Did you feel that was a 10-8 rounds?
Yeah. To be honest, my corner was shouting from the corner to the ref to saying he's pretty much done. He was out on his feet.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the first time I'd say I'd probably ever full on clinch kneed someone and felt like I took his ribs out of his body, to be honest.
How many times?
Oh, what was it, like 5 or 6 times?
Wow.
It was like 5 or 6 clean knees, weren't it? In a row. Never mind.
Yeah, in a row, yeah.
3, yeah.
Yeah. At the end of the first round, you could see Mike Wooten looking over at his corner.
Yeah. Mike was keeping. We thought, to be honest, they thought he was just gonna. They thought the ref or the doctor was gonna pull it. I heard his eye socket went. So to be honest,
yeah, his left eye, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was swollen, eye closed a lot.
Closed, yeah.
We thought we was gonna call it there and then, but you know what, you gotta give it to him. He was game and he came out strong every round. So
oh man, yeah, he came out super aggressive in both the second round he came out swinging.
Ran at me.
He literally ran at you. Yeah, it was a bit like it was a bit like Jorge against Ben Askren. He came out running.
I know, lucky there's no knees to the head, isn't it?
Oh, lucky for him. But you dealt with his attacks. Did you feel following that fight that you felt right? Yeah, I get this MMA game now. I get what it takes to win.
Not so much that fight.
No,
no, because the thing with that fight is I was quite proud of that fight. I'll be honest. The first round obviously went the way it did, and then, you know, I knew coming into the fight that he was a strong grappler. He had a couple of finishes. He was game. He's a big lad. So, and like he looked bigger than me. To me, he looked bigger than me. So that was like the first person that was bigger who I was fighting, and I knew he had, again, like Joe Lyons, I knew his game was to try and grapple me. But the only difference was Ridley had more finishes on his record. But I was happy that he was trying to exchange and then trying to take me down. But I felt like I would grapple the grappler. So that was there. I was happy for it. But now I feel like autopilot that. I feel like I was, because I was knackered that fight. Honestly, I'll tell you the truth. I was knackered that fight. I don't know whether it was because I was trying to finish him in the first round, then second and third rounds. I was done in. But
when did you feel that?
Straight after the first round. After the first, I felt tired, which is because the camp went well. It was like my energy just went. So I don't know whether I burnt it all trying to finish, but no, I was proud of that because I felt like I out-grappled the grappler that was meant to finish me.
You did. Is making lightweight easy for you, or is that difficult?
Swings and roundabouts sometimes. It's a big. I won't say a struggle. I always make weight fine. But yeah, the diet's strict. The training's strict. It's not easy. But I make it. I still make it. You know. But I'm getting bigger.
Yeah.
I'm getting bigger and I'm getting leaner. So it may become a struggle eventually. But right now, you know, it's hard. But I'm still making it.
I gotcha. So then on to your fourth MMA matchup against Jamal Raja at Almighty 9. Again, you looked very, very confident and you carried the momentum from your previous fights into this particular matchup. You looked really calm, both prior and during the fight, and you effectively managed and nullified everything he tried to bring. You didn't panic or overly exert any unnecessary energy at all. Do you feel if that was your first MMA fight that you may have gone on to lose that?
Yeah, definitely. Jamal's a good little fighter. Again, I like Jamal. I speak to Jamal sometimes. We still message each other over Instagram every now and then. Jamal's a tricky little fighter. Good, really good hands, fast.
Yeah.
So fast, and you know he's a smaller lightweight. So you've done real well at like getting under me shots and coming around me and stuff. So yeah, probably. I'll be honest. Probably if I fought Jamal in my first fight, yeah, I reckon I would have. But I'd say that was the fight where I got me confidence. Where I thought, you know what, I feel good everywhere. I know that my defense is getting better. I know what level my striking's at. So, but it was for me, because he was a striker also, and he was a good striker. I feel like striking, he'd be bending the whole lot. But because he was a striker, and obviously, like later towards the fight, he tried taking me down or stopping that.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt you there, Connor.
No, go on.
Sorry to interrupt you. Was you surprised at that tactic?
Yeah and no, to be honest. Yeah, because you know he's good with his hands, so I thought, you know, he might have a little trick up his sleeve where he changes it up a little bit, but I didn't expect to go for the takedown, but at the same time I did, because that's what they all do. So I feel like once I pick you off for a couple of shots, and then I get a little bit harder to hit, they all shoot. Once I find my timing and range, I've got you covered then, and then that's when they seem to shoot. Funny enough, when I get comfortable, they shoot.
Yeah. So, so given that, how important is it, in your opinion, to gain as much cage time experience and against different fighting styles now before stepping up to the professional level?
Huge, and it's something that my coaches and my team carry a lot. You know, because anyone can go pro. I could turn pro, but I think it's very stupid, because the amateur game's there for a reason, you know, and like there's lads who we train with who started, and they were straight into professional. They didn't have amateur like we did, so we've got an opportunity here to get the experience, fight, and then when we do move on to pro, all that disappears. Your record,
Exactly.
the whole lot goes, and then you're in the pro league then. So it's, you know, it's massive, mate. It's important. Experience is all. Experience is everything. If you don't have experience, you're gonna crumble. It's like efficiency, innit? If you're not efficient at something, you're not gonna be good at it. So obviously, you know, you get people. I'd say in everyday body, but it's so different. It's so different being in there. You're under the lights, people are watching you, and it matters. And all right, yeah, the amateur record goes, but you still don't want to lose. You still want a good amateur record. But yeah, the fight for me, this is what does me head in about MMA fighters. There's a lot of MMA fighters that don't like to fight. And two, there's a lot of MMA fighters that want a real good record for when they go to pro. That's what does me head in. Now for me, I've got 7 fights, 4 wins, 3 losses. But I don't think I've fought one bad fight yet. I've not fought a journeyman, as they called, or I've not fought, you know, people call them bums, whatever. I've not fought anybody bad. Everybody who I've fought is game. They want to be there themselves. They want a future. So, you know, people ask, oh, what's your record? You say 4-3, and they're like, but you have no idea who I've fought.
Exactly.
You might get someone who's 7, 8, 9-0, looks amazing, beating people who can just about fight. But what happens when you do get into the pro leagues and you've got to fight good people? Like, I don't want to get to that stage and then crumble, because I've never felt pressured, or I've never been in that, you know, tough position or tough dogfight. That's what the amateur's for. So for me, like I said, I don't want to get to the pros and crumble. I want to get to the pros and be like, right, these are all done. You know what I mean?
Well said. As I've said before on this particular show, records are for DJs.
Yeah, exactly. I like it, and it disappears. No one cares.
Look at Jose Aldo. I mean, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he's lost his last 2 fights, but he's fighting for the
Bantamweight
bantamweight.
strap.
Yeah, in his next fight, even though he's coming off 2 losses,
Cause,
in MMA it just does not matter.
no, records. For me, mate, records don't mean nothing in MMA. Obviously, you know, if you retire undefeated, that's amazing. If you can beat everybody, that's obviously what you want. But the main thing for me is it's the journey. It's who you fight. Like, I could have an amazing record fighting people who nobody knows, but you look at the legends of the sport and you look at pioneers and the people like the goats and stuff. They beat the best guys. They're not just fighting people who they know they can beat. They're testing themselves. They're putting risk, and that is where you become a legend of the sport. Is when you beat the people you beat the person that people thought you wouldn't.
Exactly.
That to me is a major thing. I'm not going to pad any record of I'll fight him because it's an easy fight for me. I don't want that. I don't learn anything from that.
Exactly.
I won't take anything from that.
Absolutely. And that's the reason why, Connor, as you've just said, they say John Jones is the MMA GOAT, because he's only fought the best.
Yeah, exactly. He's beat everyone they put in front of him, and that's what it's about.
Exactly. Yeah, he's beaten so many champions.
Exactly. Champions, top contenders, people coming up thinking they're the next best thing, and he's beat them all. He shut them all up. So that's what it's about.
Right. And then in your next fight after Jamal, you competed on the main card at Almighty 10 for the amateur lightweight strap against an undefeated Sam Malarkey. Is it fair to say that the start he made was exactly what you were expecting?
Yeah, I was waiting for that shot all day. Yeah. Looking at my fights, me fights previous to that. I start off fast. I'm pretty much attacking straight away. But with Malarkey, I knew that's his game. Every fight that he fought, straight away takedown. So, and he was a big lad going in there. So I knew that shot was coming. So for me, it was just let him know I'm there, but just keep him at my range, but then be ready for that shot. And then I knew he only had 2 weeks to prepare for that fight. I was meant to be fighting Adam Smith, I think his name was. He pulled out because he got knocked out in sparring and was concussed or something. So we had Malarkey pulling, and I knew he was going to get tired. I knew he hadn't trained as I've trained. I was training like 16 weeks for that fight. So yeah, it was like I knew he was going to shoot. So I was just waiting for that shot, keep him there, wait for the shot, and then once he got tired, once I separated, I knew it was over then.
Exactly. So then that moves us on very nicely. So during the clinch, you caught him with a fight-ending knee to the body, which had him staggering. But again, you stayed ice cold, getting the takedown, and then ending the fights with some vicious ground and pounds. What do you remember about that particular sequence of events?
I remember before we actually separated, he pressured me up against the fence, and he ends up to get me down. And he got me down to like my backside to the mat, so my shoulders weren't on the floor or nothing. And he had my legs wrapped. He had a body lock around my legs, and I remember him letting go to strike. And as soon as he let go, I thought, like, I'm up, and my leg was free. Pop back up,
quick,
and he started throwing. Yeah, straight away. That was the game plan, really. As soon as he let go of his grip, I was straight up again, and I could hear him heavy breathing straight away. I know I'm good in that position. I know I'm good at defending takedowns. So I knew that he'd be wearing himself out. And then he let go again after I stood up. And that's when I turned through the knee, and he like hit me over the clinch. I hit him with a big right hand.
Yeah.
Nearly caught him with a left uppercut.
Yeah.
And then he was just like
staggering,
he was shooting everywhere then, yeah. But I just remember him shooting. And then when I turned him, he was just so light. I knew he was hurt. I know his legs weren't underneath him, so through that knee, and then Uchimata into half guard. And again, I Uchi'd him, and he was light as anything. And I thought, he's not fully with it here. obviously through the ground and pound, and that was it. And the emotion of that, mate, screamed over to me corner.
Straight to your corner.
Straight to me corner where all my family and friends was, and my mate calls it the war cry. Screamed that.
Lovely. What a feeling. That feeling of being crowned amateur lightweight champion. First of all, describe that feeling. And second of all, where does that rank in your combat sports accomplishments?
Near the top, to be honest, mate, because that was like, that for me, like the sport that I did previously, it weren't as big as MMA, and it weren't big shows like that. So for having like a lot of family and friends come and watch me like they did that night, and then getting crowned with the belt, and I knew that at the start of that year, start of 2018, I said I want to be at least talking about a title fight by the end of this year, at least talking about one. And then because it happened, I got offered the title fight. Obviously, I took it, and then it all just went perfect. You know, that was my first finish as well, first MMA finish. It was a boss night, mate. Quality night. One I'll remember for forever, I think. It was just the atmosphere. It was just a good day. I thought everything went well. The warm up went well. The fight went well. After went well. Everything. It was just a good night, mate.
I was going to say, what was the after party like?
Do you know what? not what you'd think.
No?
It was quite funny, actually. No, not what you do. I'm not a big drinker, to be honest. I'm not a big. I used to be when I was a little bit younger. When you first turn 18, you start going out and stuff. But once I started getting serious into MMA, and I knew that this is what I wanted, and if I drink, the whole week of training's messed up. I just don't feel the same. So for me, there's just no point doing it. So I was just getting a pizza, going back to my hotel room with my belt in my bed next to me. I was just chilled with my mates. That was it.
Wow.
We did try and go out, but one of my mates left his ID, and we just left it. But I was cool with that. I never really want to go out after a fight. I always say that I will. I think I've went out once after a fight. I'm knackered. I just want to go home and chill and just take it all in.
True. So then moving on to your title defense against Marcus Lewis at Almighty 12. Yeah. There was a lot of interest going into that fight. What do you remember of the lead up, and what was the nerves like?
Again, not so much nerves. There was a lot of pressure going into that. There was a lot of pressure going into that fight because me and Marcus know each other. We come from the same background. He's fought our David a couple of times, and for me, it was there was a bit of back and forth in words and stuff. But for me, I'd lost my debut against a 2-0 guy, and then came back on a 4-fight winning streak. And I grafted my ass off to get that, and I still do today, obviously. But we was meant to fight for the Cage Warriors Academy title in Liverpool, but I ended up getting staph infection on my leg. So I had to pull out of that fight. I didn't want to. I pulled out the week before. I was begging Jason to not pull me from the fight, but he said he'll give me till the week of, and if it's no better, then I'll have to call it. So obviously, because I pulled out, and I never like pulling out of fights. I hate pulling out of fights. I'd rather lose than pull out of a fight.
But that's why you need a coach.
Exactly that. So there was a lot of build up, and for me, it was Marcus fought for the. It was a title eliminator fight, and he ended up losing. He got beat by a lad called Mark Ewan, and then I got told that I was next in line for that title shot because the champion at the time had turned pro. So I was like, yeah, signed, thinking I was going to fight this Mark Ewan who beat Marcus, and then I got told it was Marcus. I was like, right, okay. But asked the question, I was like, what happened to Mark Ewan? He's like, oh, we turned pro. I was like, right, okay. Turns out he didn't turn pro. So they obviously just wanted to get me and Marcus fighting each other, which I can understand why. Two strikers know each other, same background. But no nerves, just pressure again. Just there was a little bit of pressure for that because of how we knew each other. And Marcus is good. He's decorated himself. He's won like 24 world titles or whatever back what we did. He's good at MMA, and he's good at what we did. So, you know, when he's a couple of years older. So when he was fighting our David, obviously, like, that was another big fight. So I was watching him in our David fight, and, you know, it was like, and now I'm fighting him. But I think the main pressure came from, you know, I got stabbed before the Cage Warriors fight, and then we booked again in, what was it? Yeah, May. So I come back about 2 weeks after the fight in February. He fought an Irish kid. And I came back 2 weeks after. My staph had cleared up. I was training for 3 weeks in camp straight away. Now, staph infection, it does you in. And 3 weeks, training for 3 weeks. And then I was like 5 weeks out from the fight. And I got staph again in the back of my leg. So I couldn't train for another 2 weeks. So I came back, and I was like, I was playing catch up. You know, I'd been on like 3 different types of antibiotics. I came back, I'd only had a couple of weeks left, and I knew that was going to be my hardest fight, because he was pretty much matching me striking. So I knew it was going to be my dog fight. And like I said, it was just catch up. I was hitting pads, and, you know, I was sharp, but I weren't me sharp.
Yeah.
So I think deep down I knew I weren't ready. For a fight like Marcus, I knew I weren't ready. But obviously I pulled out the fight before, so I weren't going to do it again. But again, another massive learning curve. That's a fight that no doubt will happen again, whether amateur or pro. Too many people want to see that fight again. It's too much of a good fight.
Very, 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 very high level.
Yeah, too much of a good fight. You know, sold ridiculous amount of tickets, I've heard.
Yeah, it was noisy.
Yeah, loud, mate, proper loud. And do you know what? I love that.
And his opponent standing across the cage, the champion, fighting out of the red corner, with an identical record of 4 wins and 1 defeat, representing Academy, he's the FC Lightweight Champion,
That, looking back at it, watching the fight, that I love that. Just the fact that you know, me and Marcus were a part of a fight that was probably the loudest in amateur MMA. Just a good fight to be a part of, but definitely a fight that I want to get back.
Sure. And was you ready to go the 5-round distance?
Yeah. The thing was, I always think we always do at least 5 rounds in sparring. So and we do a thing at the academy. We do a thing called up dance, which is a nightmare, absolute nightmare. It's basically fight simulation. So, you know, if you're doing like, let's say if it's a title fight, 5 3-minute rounds. Your first minute you're on the pads with Jason. Second minute a fresh body comes on, they're trying to take you down. You're gonna stay up on your feet. Third minute back striking, and it changes every time with a fresh body. So that in itself is harder than the fight, because you know you're just drained straight away. So I always know I'm fit, I'm ready for the fight. I think I just weren't physically and probably mentally fully on that fight because of staff build up to it, all this kind of stuff. I was too invested in it. I was too invested in that fight. I let the pressure of, you know, the history behind me and him, and let that get to me. So that would be a big thing that I change next time.
Right. To remain ice cold.
Remain ice cold. Ice cold.
Exactly. So the 3rd round of that fight was, wow, my goodness, epic mayhem, and everything in between. It had just about everything, and you both got a standing ovation at the ends. Summarize what you can remember about that particular round.
I remember being pressured up against the fence, framed off, and he broke away. I started striking, and I started striking back with him, and then I just heard my coach shout, "Cover up." So as I've covered up, next minute my hands are on the floor, and you know what? That's the first time I've ever been dropped. So I give Marcus that. It's the first time I've ever been dropped in a fight. But it weren't so much of a hurt. It was more like a flash. Like 1 minute I was up, next minute my hands on the floor, and when my hands on the floor I was like, whoa, and then just got straight back up. And then I've gripped all of a body lock. He's ended up, I don't know, I think some kind of throw, suicide throw, whatever. And I've ended up on top, but he had me in like an arming guillotine almost, I think. Weren't that tight. I managed to pop my head out, and I knew he was tired, but I was tired also. You know, I'd just been dropped. So, but for the rest of that round, mate, I was on top, showing me strikes. I think if I could do this all day, but I think if I had if I had a better camp, you know, fully fight fit, and not been dropped that round before, maybe a 5-minute round also, I reckon I'd have got him out of there that third round. But it is what it is, mate. I'm not going to make excuses for it.
It is. And then a question from Kyle Jones, who featured on episode 5 of Flash Knockdown, and who will be facing Marcus for the lightweight title later this year. He wants to know, if you had the opportunity to rematch Marcus, what would you do differently?
Like I said before, not too invested, I'd remain ice cold. And you know what as well, I wouldn't have so much of a game plan. I'd fight him how I'd fight. The game plan, and I'm not trying to, you know, take away anything from my coaches here or anyone really, but the game plan was to take him down, beat him up. Then when he starts, you know, getting a bit tired, then start striking with him and possibly finishing from there. But another thing, I think I was too invested on that game plan. I was too involved in, I've got to take him down. Whereas I'm confident enough on the feet. I don't believe I'm out on, like, I can mix. I believe I can mix it with anybody on the feet. So for me, not get too invested, and don't have a game plan, just fight him. But that's come from a similar style to Marcus. I know, and I know what he likes to do and stuff. I know why he does certain stuff, because we come from the same background. So I don't know. Maybe for him, maybe for Kyle, I have a game plan. I don't know. I'm not his coach, but for me, I'd fight him. I'd fight him how I fight.
Okay, well, there you are, Kyle. Good luck, my man. And good luck. So what are your MMA sort of objectives and goals now then?
I'm going to be the best me, mate.
Absolutely.
Going for UFC gold. And being the best ever. That's my goals. I want to be known as one of the best ever. So yeah, it's not even just about the belt. It's about the legacy, innit? Yeah. So just keep fighting, and then one day the UFC will come calling, and then when they do, I'll be ready for it all. Take the title, defend it, go down as one of the best ever. Yeah, and then go up a weight and do the same. I reckon so, defo. I reckon so, because, like I said, I'm getting bigger. So I do think welterweight will be on the cards. I'll defo, lightweight title, defend it against anyone, and then, if there's not so much of a challenge at lightweight anymore, then I'll go up to welter. But still fight for the title. But I think I'd want to fight contenders first. I don't want to people. You get the double champ status now, don't you? Yeah. But a lot of them go from the champion in one division, and straight away you get to fight the champion at the weight class above or below. And I wouldn't want that. I'd want to go up and fight contenders. Because if I'm in a different division and I just get cut the queue, if that was me the other way around, I'd be pissed off. Absolutely. So absolutely, I'd want to earn it. I'd want to go through. So there's there's no question. So there's no doubt. Go through go through the lightweight division, go through the welterweight division, hold 2 belts, defend them both at the same time, go down as the GOAT.
Wow. How many more fights do you feel you have at amateur before moving to professional, or have you not thought that far ahead yet?
No, mate, I'm always thinking of pro. I'm always thinking of pro, but I leave that down to Jason, really. Jason and the other coaches at the academy.
Yeah.
That when they think I'm ready to go pro, then I'm ready to go pro. But I don't know. I have heard that the pro talks, there, but still got a lot of learning to do. So I'm not really in no rush. If it comes, I'll take it. I'll never pass up the opportunity. But I don't know. We're looking to get at least 3 fights, another 3. I've had one in March. Looking to get another 3, August, October, November this year. See what happens from there. If he says go pro, we'll go pro. If he wants a couple of more amateur fights, we'll do a couple of more amateur fights.
Sure. Very sensible as always, Connor. So we're now onto the final part of the show, Connor. So thank you so much for your time so far. And that's looking at your flash fives. Connor, I will ask you 5 questions. Yeah. And very simply, you give me your best answer.
Okay.
All right. So number 1 then, Connor, who would you love to compete against, either dead or alive?
Ooh, good question. Whoever's the best at the time that I get to the UFC.
Okay, that's interesting. But who would you, if that was now, who would that be?
Ideal fight. I'd like a fight against. I think a fight against Khabib, purely because he's undefeated. So I'm one of them. I'd like to take a 0. But Khabib's Khabib, innit?
Yeah. He's a mauler.
So, mate, different level. That's the goal, innit? Get grappling like his, after striking of mine. Untouchable then. But probably Khabib. It's a horrible fight to ask for. Obviously, I think everybody knows that. But do you know what, mate? Khabib, defo. Dustin Poirier's quality, I think he's came through since the Conor fight. He's came through massively, and probably Conor. I think the hype for that fight, the build up would be tremendous.
Huge, it would be
massive. And it's like he says, it's a big show when he's fighting. So
always is. Your ideal way to finish an opponent? Knockout. How?
Head kick. Or a lovely right hand.
Lovely, standard. The best combat sports fights you've seen?
Well, Poirier and Dan Hooker the other week. That was crazy. I like the very first fight that I ever seen. What I thought, wow, which probably what has got me thinking about MMA and the UFC in the first place. Forrest Griffin and Stephen Bonner. I think that's a fight for everyone, really. That was like the first proper full fight that I watched and was like, oh my God, this is amazing. But yeah, that, and what was the other fight? Adesanya, Kevin Gastelum.
Amazing. That was a fight. That was a fight of the year last year.
Yeah, I got up with my girlfriend to watch that. That was, I think I woke my dad up.
Yeah, that was epic.
Yeah. Sat on the edge of your feet.
Yeah, it really was. And that Stephen Bonner fight with Forrest. If it wasn't for that fight, would we have a UFC today?
I doubt it.
Yeah.
I doubt it. Highly doubt it. That was I've watched the documentary on Dana White and the Fertitas going on about that fight, saying if it went for that fight, they probably wouldn't be a UFC. And I agree. It set the bar, really, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. What superpower would you have?
Ooh, interesting. Very interesting. Reading minds would be a good one. Invisibility would also be a good one. I'll go with them too. I'll go with them.
That would do it. And then the best finish to a fight you've seen?
Do you know what? I've got to give it to McGregor and Aldo. Just because I stayed up till 6 in the morning to watch that fight, and he just clipped him with one shot, and it was game over. So
Yeah.
I don't think. I stayed with a couple of my mates and watched that fight. I was the only person that stayed awake till 6 in the morning for 13 seconds. But I was pacing up and down the living room after that happened. I couldn't believe it. Just madness, because
It
Aldo was
was.
obviously 10 years undefeated. Like, I don't think anybody expected that.
No, no one did.
So
But
for it to end.
apart from Connor, however, because he actually predicted that sequence of events. He said that Aldo will come out looking to land and that he would dodge it and then hit him with
Yeah,
that left hand.
something that I like to use, to be fair. What he's saying there is that he's making his opponents overextend, staying
That's
at a
it.
certain kind of range. I'm not going to give away too much, but staying at a certain kind of range that if when they do attack, they are overextending and the chin's exposed for longer. So I know what he's going on about there, but I still didn't expect that. As clean as that was something else.
Unbelievable. Okay, that's a great set of answers there, Connor. And that brings us to the end of the show. So first of
Yes.
all, I'd like to say thank you so much for your time. And secondly,
Thanks a lot for having me, mate.
you're welcome. I was going to ask, how was the experience for you, Connor?
Boss, mate, I've enjoyed it. Like I said before earlier, you're letting us be heard, so it's appreciated. But no, I've enjoyed the show. It's quality speaking to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. And I look forward to seeing you progress in the amateur division and then finally move into the professional ranks and seeing you crowned as the UFC champ.
100%, mate. No
One
doubt,
day.
100%.
I believe you.
100%.
I believe you, my
Very
man.
soon, couple of years. Give me a few years, you'll see it.
Sure. So thank you again, Connor. And thank you to everyone who tuned in to episode 7 of Flash Knockdown, the show that engages with people of the combat sports world. Thank you, everyone. And thank you to Connor.
Yes, thanks a lot, mate.
You're welcome. Take care, Connor.
You too, mate.
Bye-bye.